Hello, welcome to Healthy Living. Dr. Donald Pelto. Today I have André Brisson here. We're going to be talking about your health journey. So, André, thanks for joining us at the show.
Thank you for having me, Don. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. So, you're from this is an international interview. I think one of my first international interviews. You're in Canada, eh?
Yes, man. Yep. Maple syrup time.
And we've been friends from a program that both of us go to called Strategic Coach. And one of the last couple of sessions I've seen you've had a transformation in your weight, your body because of some health issues. So tell us your family story and the story of your health and kind of what's happened.
Okay. Like you noticed before, I am a French Canadian, so that's also a precursor with the health issues that I'm having. Let me start over. January 18th, 2019. I'll never forget that date. Was the day where I noticed I was losing some weight. I lost about 20, 30 pounds. I wanted to take credit for it, but I really wasn't doing anything extra, and I didn't change my habits. And then I sat down with the doctor, and I said, I'm losing some weight. He goes, I understand why, because you're diabetic, type 2. And that day, my A1C levels were 11.6%. And the 30 pounds lost was because I was in hyperglycemic state for quite a few months. I'm not a chocolate guy. I'm not really a sugar guy. I'm all bread. But for 2 months, I was craving chocolate and sugar almost daily, which was a little odd. But apparently that's something when we're in hyperglycemic stage, it's one of those cravings. So the doctor explained to me, either you take care of yourself or you're going to insulin, lose your feet, try to do the scare tactics. And I just looked at him and I said, honestly, you don't have to give me the scare tactics. It runs in my family. I've got 2 parents that tried to do nothing, just relied on the pills and the insulin as a crutch. So I've got 2 good examples of what not to do. So after about a month, I was feeling not happy, tried to cheat the system. How can I maximize my carbs, my bread, so I can still stay within the 4 to 9 millimoles per liter, which is your 72 to 162 milligrams per deciliter. And being a fact finder, I did a lot of research. I really sat down and read and researched the causes. And the biggest surprise to me was, well, the first reaction was, gotta watch the sugars, and which wasn't true. It's carbs, no matter if it's sugar, bread, from vegetables, even, like big eye opener. So about a month and a half, I'd say I was in a bit of depression, denial, and then finally says, you know what, I gotta do something about this. I'm 44 at the time, or 43 at that time. And my dad was diagnosed about that same age. And the lifetime extender, a tool that we did with Strategic Coach, write down the age you think you're going to die, what is the ideal condition at that age, and how much more can you get. So my ultimate, basically I've decided I'm going to die at 120. It's not going to let diabetes stop me. So that was the start of my mind shift. My mindset changed that I'm going to control diabetes and it's not going to control me.
Instead of being a victim,
I took ownership. Yes. I can't have any more bread. Boo hoo hoo. I got over it. I don't crave it as much anymore, but it's definitely a tough drug to quit food, especially carbs. So that was a month and a half when I took it seriously. And then the following month and a half, I took it seriously. And I also learned that blood glucose levels between 7 millimoles and 9, between 126 and 162, still does damage, slower damage. So I just decided my new high level is 7, not 9.
Okay.
I'm really keeping my numbers between 5 and 7, so between at 80 and 126.
Okay.
And I really worked my diet to keep it within that.
So let's talk about how did you make the transition? How did you make the shift? Did it involve your family? Was it just you? Did you have a coach or help, or how did you do it?
It was a lot with me, with support of my wife and supporting the diet. But I did a lot of trial and error of see what the different foods. I was getting in trouble by my doctor and the pharmacist. and the insurance company for taking too many blood samples. But I wanted to see the effects of different foods.
Yep.
Like I know with my parents, certain carbs would make their blood skyrocket, mine not. And it was so every body's body was different, reacts differently. So for me, white bread, there's no way. I got to have a very, very small amount to have a little effect on my blood glucose. But a fiber type bread, I can have more.
Okay.
So a lot of and then the blending of the different foods. So if I want to have a sweet for dessert, I would make sure I have like a 12-ounce steak. Mix it together because of the protein mix and helps balance it out. And I was able to correlate all that. If I'm going to have certain types of food, I need the other counteracting type of food. And I think one of my biggest things was I always look, instead of saying I'm going to be good for the next 4 days so I can have a treat on Friday, I'd be there Friday going, what did I do in the past? Have I been good the last 4 or 5 days? Yes, I can have this. Or no, I cheated yesterday, or I did not have a good day, then I'm not going to have it now. So instead of rewarding myself going further, I always look back to see how well I was doing and maintaining my diet.
Yeah. How much did you lose any weight during this time? How quickly did you lose it? Are you still considered diabetic?
Yes, I'm still considered diabetic. What I like to say, I'm technically a non-diabetic on diabetic pills. So right now, since April of last summer or last year, I've been hovering between 5.4 and 5.7 A1Cs, and that was just last week. I got my 5th quarter check. But I'm down to 1 pill a day for Janumet from 2. I could probably get completely off, but it'd be a very, very, very strict diet. And maybe in another year, maybe the body might balance out and be more happy.
Yeah.
And work better. That's one of my theories. So between January and April, I had lost another 30 pounds, 30 pounds. So that would have been a 50 total. And then by the last time we saw each other, I totaled out, I've lost 80 pounds. So I'm down my ideal weight 190, and I've been maintaining that for about 6 to 8 months.
How many pant size?
Plus or minus 5 pounds.
How many pant size?
Oh, 42 inch to 32. Everything changed. I've had to do a whole new wardrobe. You know, you feel lighter on your feet losing the weight, but the pocketbook gets a lot lighter.
So now there are a couple of other things a lot of my patients use for diabetic kind of control. One is something called intermittent fasting, where they go periods of not eating. And so I wanted to see, is that something that you investigated, you tried, did it work for you?
I read a little bit about it, and I ended up technically, that's what I'm doing. I'm only eating 1 meal a day.
Oh.
I'm only eating once a day, and that's dinner.
So tell me, so I know it's real simple, but explain for people what that means. What do you drink or what do you do when you're not?
Coffee in the morning. If it was up to me, I'd drink it all day, but after 12 noon, I can't sleep. So I've been doing that since I was a kid. And then I have water. Between 3 and 4, I might have a handful of nuts if I'm feeling hungry or peckish, but usually I just have a big meal and that's it. And I usually don't eat after 7:30.
How long you been doing that?
I'm not losing any more weight. I still have a lot of energy, and it's a balanced meal, and I think the body's happy with it. So I'm a very high protein, high good fats, and low carb. It's not technically, I guess most people consider it keto, but it's not the true keto, but it's Andre's keto.
Yeah.
It works for my body very well.
Yeah. People ask, how do you deal with the hunger? How do you deal with the hunger, Andre?
Distract myself, do something else.
Keep busy.
But sorry?
Keep busy.
Keep busy, distract. It's like when I was quitting smoking or quitting eating along quite a few times. It's distraction, you know. And now I'm correlating more to why am I hungry? Am I bored? Or am I truly hungry? Or even water. We go with water first and see what happens there.
Yep.
But usually, as long as I'm busy, I don't think about it, I'm pretty good. But since I've been doing this one time a day eating, I'm finding I'm not as hungry as much as if I ate earlier in the day. Sometimes I'll have breakfast with the girls, with the family in the morning on the weekend, just to be together, have a little bit. Then I'm finding I'm always hungry for all day. But if I miss out on the morning lunch, I don't feel as hungry.
Yeah. A lot of people say that once you start eating, it's just like a cascade effect. You eat breakfast, then you want to eat lunch, then you have to eat dinner, and you're hungrier. But because of the social aspect, otherwise you would be a kind of a social misfit. So you do give yourself breakfast certain days and other days.
Yeah, but you know me, I've always been a social misfit. If you meet people for breakfast, I have breakfast, but I'm okay now. I just tell them I don't eat breakfast or lunch anymore. Don't worry about it. It's my diet. It's so far I can control diabetes, and I'm still healthy. So,
have you told your doctor about the way that you eat, and what did they say?
Yes, I've told him, and he's come around. I got a unique relationship with this doctor. I've always was against drugs, pills. And it wasn't because I didn't want to take it for religious, personal reasons or conspiracy theories. It was always raised as medicine to be a crutch. So I've always had high cholesterol that runs in the family. If I just went on the cholesterol pills, I wouldn't change my diet. So if I tried to do it naturally, it was a way for me to have that effort or want to do it. So we've always been fighting with pills. Mm-hmm. So once I started learning more, I started asking to do stuff. He would say no. I would come back better prepared with more information, facts, and he would. And we're starting to accept experiments. Like this last quarter, one pill. He says, fine, we'll do it. But he had his terms, I had my terms, and I had to follow that too. So we had compared apples to apples. So
now, in this period of doing the one meal a day, for example, you've mentioned a couple of other things: high cholesterol, ADHD, to me offline, and some other things. Are there any other benefits besides the blood sugar that you're seeing with this one meal a day and changing the way that you're eating?
The cholesterol definitely is dropped down. I'm still on cholesterol pills, and technically I can be off them, but they still want me to keep it on for longevity. And I've read a few things on that. The ADHD, which is a recent diagnosis also, I'm eating more protein, which is one of the good things with the ADHD brain. For that, not really. What I thought were the hangries before was not necessarily the hangries. It was some of the ADHD symptoms starting to take over, and I can correlate a lot of the triggers or the conditions up to that. Yeah. Usually comes up with fatigue, stress, the executive functioning, and focusing when you don't want to. So in a way, what I've done with this diet of mine is the ADHD way, all or nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've done. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, I can't remember the day, I can't remember the conditions or the situation, but I remember my subconscious deciding to no longer eat. He says, we're done with food. Now, we have to have food to live, so that's all we're going to eat for now. So after that subconscious decision, now all pure enjoyment of eating food was gone, right? Yeah, I look forward to a good meal, but now it's not like I'm going to have a nice steak and have 2 pounds and then all the potatoes. It's now like I'll have a nice slow enjoyment, but I don't crave for the next great meal. It's just food.
Yeah.
And that just shifted. So bland foods now have flavor. Go figure. And yeah, it's just, are you hungry? The no longer needing to eat affectively, emotionally, and that subconscious decide no more, we don't need to eat anymore. That really helped. And it's, all or nothing. Me trying to do it in between with the ADHD brain never seemed to work. Now, knowing what I know now with a lot of other things, so it's I just don't eat.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you try the maybe 3 small meals or try to cutting down calories, eating half what you used to eat? Did you try any of the calorie restrictions?
A long time ago, I used to count calories. I used to do all that to keep the cholesterol down 15 years ago. Like my weight's been up and down like a yo-yo doing that. And it never seemed to maintain it. Well, the one trick I just learned now is you don't diet and reduce your intake until you've lost the weight and go back to the way you eat. You should maintain what you're eating until your body's balanced out, and that's what I figured out is what I'm eating right now keeps a nice balance.
Yeah. Now, do you think you're going to go back to eating 3 meals a day, or do you feel like this is something that you can do the rest of your life? Is this going to get you to 120?
I can do this the rest of my life because I've been fighting with my parents when I was a kid, my wife, my doctors, and everyone else saying you got to have breakfast. And if I ate too early in the morning, I felt not well, like not it was an energy drain.
Yeah.
So now when I tossed out the breakfast, it was like good. It's never worked for me, and I saw my oldest is that way, and my youngest, she eats all her meal in the morning and nothing for the rest of the day, or a small lunch, small dinner. And my youngest and my oldest, nothing for breakfast, a little bit for lunch, and a big dinner, and it works for them. And then the lunch, working, I just kind of like, well, what's another hour? What's another 2 hours?
Yeah.
Just go home and see what happens. I would say the first 2 months was the toughest, sticking to the one meal, because that brain really likes to play with you. It really wants that, well, for me in the ADHD brain, that dopamine kick. Get that bread, get the bread. Like the one day I remember my daughter left the Cheerios on the counter. Yeah, I could have a handful. I'm within my carb count for the day for the next session. I had the one, went and read. The next thing I realized, I'm back at the counter again, and it was visit number 6. I don't remember the other time. So I went back and I sat down. Next thing I know, I'm off again, and then I realized it was my brain telling me to go. It was craving. It was a full body craving for carbs. And it was like, wow. Like it's your brain wants something, it goes. It's like a long time ago, my daughter's turning 12, so 2 hours before she was born was my last cigarette. And I will wake up in the morning with such a vivid dream of smoking, I got to smell my fingers. And it really kicks in every once in a while to trick you and really want these cravings of past addictions. So getting to learn a bit more how the brain works, how it likes to be treated, you got to fight that. So once I start figuring that out, like smoking, if I have one drag, I know if I have one drag of a smoke, no matter how long I quit, I'm back to a pack a day. I just know that. So that's a good way of saying, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try. And with the food, it's if I gain any more weight, I got to buy new clothes. I can't do that. I can't afford that for another at least 10 years.
Now your goal to get to 120, since you're one of these high fact finder, I'm sure you haven't only changed your diet. We have a few minutes left here. What are other life hacks or really kind of cool tips or techniques that you've found besides just the one meal a day? Are there other things that you found for dealing with sleep or stress or other things?
Yeah, the more exercise, not necessarily high intensity exercise, but the walking every day or as much walking, light exercise really helps with things going. I just recently joined karate, which is, it's really cool with the mindfulness aspect of it and the physical aspect. And I like a good sweat, and that helps with the ADHD mind too. But you know what, I think if we would have met 5 years ago, there's no way you would think I'd ever say this. I got a couple buddies from high school still think I'm whacked out, but I started part of my process and therapy with the ADHD in the past, emotional trauma, mindfulness meditation. I'm
like
doing them on day 100. No, not TM. It's just mindfulness. I'm allowed to have thoughts, but just push it away. Like there's no way I can have zero thoughts. It's just not physically possible. So they call the mindfulness, be more mindful in mindfulness meditation, where if I can just be able to focus on one thing, breath, and just push things right away. I'm on day 120 in a row. So I've been trying since March, but I've had 120 some consecutive days now.
Your streak.
A streak, yeah, anywhere from 3 minutes to 20, usually average 15. And to me, that's a big difference because, just being able to settle down the mind and recoup and just putting myself in the present helps put all that into perspective, because I don't think I've ever lived in the present. I was either in the past or in the future, not a lot of right now. And that, to me, that's probably one of the biggest shifts, I would say.
Yeah. So for those that are watching this interview, they're not familiar with mindfulness, because it's a kind of a new term that's getting more and more popularity. When does someone do it? Maybe give just a beginner's guide for people that don't know what mindfulness is.
Well, basically, it's when you're stressed out or you're starting to worry or you're starting to get frustrated. It's just basically grounding yourself, taking some deep breaths to kind of calm your mind, to stop escaping, jumping to conclusions. Like it's a technique within the cognitive behavioral therapy and the dialectic behavioral therapy and the DBT and CBT. And it's just bring yourself to the now and seeing what is here now, not what was in the past, because the past isn't here and the future is not here yet. So, like it's silly. Happiness has always been about now, but I've always had it based on the future. I will be happy later if I get this done now. Not what do I have now, like my health, not going to lose my feet in a year. Right now, I am happy. Well, before it was, I'm going to be happy in the future based on what I do now. And usually I had a negative spin on it.
Well, good.
So
good. Well, any other, as we're concluding here, any other final tips or I know you have a blog, and you have, if people want to learn more about you, I think you gave me the website, but if you could just tell everyone if they want to learn more about your journey.
Yeah. It's andreb.ca, so ANDREB.ca. It's but I guess it's a bit of my journey, but it's a way for me processing. A lot of things happened in the past with the recent diagnosis of diabetes, ADHD, and a lot of emotional trauma from my childhood. Yeah. And it's been affecting my home life and my girls. And, I want something for them I want them to have a better life than I did growing up. And at the same time, I have a unique way of looking at things, saying things, and perceiving things. This is mainly to help me sort it out, but at the same time, I know some people would appreciate that vision, because the one thing I have never really seen out there is what it looks like, what it feels like. And then with the diabetes part, it's like there's a lot of soul searching, right? It's the way I was raised to eat that way. I can blame it on whoever else, but I got to take ownership and responsibility for now. And I've always been one to the why. Why did it happen? What were the scenarios so I can prevent it happening again? If I know, it's not like the ADHD, like what Green mentions it. You've been fighting an invisible foe all your life, and you can never see it, but you're being punched all the time. And now that you know that foe, you may not still see it, but you know it and what it can do. You can be better prepared. And awareness is the true power. So Nicole, our advisor, we had a chat and she said something about how knowledge is power, and I disagree with her right away. And then I wrote a post about that awareness is power. Everyone has knowledge. It's applying that knowledge correctly is your awareness. And for me, that's, just because I know that this is going to happen, then you can manipulate or you can plan or be more aware. And you know what? Now that I'm saying this out loud, Don, thank you very much. Because you're more mindful.
Well, very good. Well, Andre, thanks for being on the show, and we will see you next trip to Toronto. Hey guys, thank you for watching Healthy Living. You're going to find a few links here I'd like you to click. One is to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Also, you can learn more. There are some videos here you can see.